The following podcast, I had on a good friend. I've had on relatives, I had friends, I've had colleagues, all different types of people here. But this time it was just a friend, Bernie, who has been a friend of mine for a while. And we talked about all these amazing topics. One of them was about prayer and religion and connection and Nanach and Breslov and parenting. And just so many awesome topics. This is one of those pods where you sit down and you just love talking to this person. And you're like, this should be a podcast. And it was. We made it that podcast. Anyway, I had a lovely time. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, share everything. And thanks for being wonderful. Love you.
Hello and welcome to the Brainstorm podcast. And now, your host, Sony Perlman.
Okay, I'm sitting with Bernie. Intro to come. All right, no.
Which camera do I look at?
You look at me.
Okay, deal.
If you say something very dramatic, then look at the camera.
Okay.
All right, Bernie, telling me a story.
So,
Then we'll get into who you are.
on the Israeli Voice many years ago, there was a guy named Roy Edry. I actually met him a couple months ago. And he starts off, right? So all the judges are facing the crowd. And he's dressed in all white, and he starts off, and then he starts singing. And the judges couldn't handle it, some of them. Like, why bring this religious crap? And he did a great job. Anyway, so I want to say the same thing he did, starting the podcast. I don't know all the words.
Oh, well, we already started. You can say it now. just say it like in a whisper. All right. Well,
no, one of the judges like, it's not fair. Can't bring in God into this, giving you, making you sing better. Just sing.
Anyway, so let me tell the audience here what's going on. What's going on? You sit around with a couple of really good friends and you say this should be a podcast. Every time I sit down and talk with you, I think this should be a podcast. So that's the biggest reason you're here, because I do talk about friendship and talk about connections and community and all that stuff. So it totally fits, although it doesn't have to fit. That's what I'm realizing. Podcast is just about having great conversations. So welcome, Bernie.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. What is it, 2 years in the making?
Something like that. We kept saying we do it. But you moved to Israel.
Right. I think you asked me a few months before I moved to Israel. And then I moved to Israel.
What's this thing on your neck here?
This is from my friend Tani. Remember Tani Wiener?
Tani Wiener. Sure.
So this is the shape of Israel. And it's made out of olive wood and epoxy. And it has a petek inside.
Oh, what's a petek?
Petek is a letter from Rabbi Nachman.
Does it have the petek?
It's a copy of the petek.
Okay. So it has the petek. Okay, good. I wanted to talk about Nanach. Nice.
Right?
Total segue. I'll tell you something that's not gonna. I don't know if I should say this on a podcast. Okay, I'll say this. I'll say it. I was in Uman, probably 06. I think 06. And then a friend of mine became Nanach. He started identifying as Nanach. I don't know what that means exactly.
He revealed that he was not.
He revealed that he was Nanach. And he was a good friend of mine. And I was having this thing that everybody I knew that was Nanach was not of the same sound mind as the general population. I don't know how to say that. But everybody who was doing Nanach was a wild man, with a different way of thinking. And so I sat down with him and I'm like, I got to know about Nanach from someone who I know is of sound mind.
Right.
And tell me about this. Because every time I would talk to someone Nanach, I'd be saying things in my mind. I felt like I was in some psychedelic trick just listening to them. everything was like swirling around like a toad. Like, what is happening here? Like the Doors song. And I would never understand it at all. I knew there was a letter. There was this. I was like, okay, let's sit down. Let's talk. And within like 2 minutes, I realized that he was not of sound mind anymore. I'm putting it the nice way. I'm not diagnosing anybody.
What do you think of me?
So, right. So then...
Until I start telling you about Nanach.
Many more years later, you became my next Nanach friend. I actually still have you on my phone saved as Bernie Nanach. Right. That was your nickname for a long time?
Yeah.
That's in my phone for a really long time. What's your real name? You want us to reveal your real name or no? I was going to keep it Bernie.
Bernie's good.
Bernie.
No, my name is Yosef Chaim Bernfeld.
Yosef Chaim Bernfeld.
Yosef Chaim Bernfeld.
Oh, Yosef Chaim Bernfeld, and now Bernie. So, right. So then but we never really talked about it much because I kind of steered clear of things
that might turn you off of me.
Maybe, maybe I don't know. But you're like, I tell you one thing. You're the only Nanach I've ever met who's a cynic. A Nanach cynic is very rare.
That's true.
That's a very rare thing. And I don't know if you identify as Nanach anymore. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means to.
I'm still wearing
how do you come to Nanach? How did that come about from the good yeshivish family that you're from?
Right. Good Heimish family. I hated the Judaism that I grew up with. But I don't know if I didn't have the guts or I really did. Maybe I really loved God. I say that I loved God, but maybe I just didn't have the guts to go off the derech.
Okay.
So here I found a fun Judaism.
It's not very deep.
First.
Hold on.
What?
I thought the back. Okay, let's hear. Yeah.
No, the reason I'm laughing is because the first Nanach van that came to Muncie was really wasn't cool. It was just like a blue van with a bunch of stickers on it. Tzvi was on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was 16, and I was like, wow, this is so cool, I was a yeshivish kid, I was like this dorky yeshivish kid, but I went to Israel then. My family took us to Israel. My parents took us to Israel. And I saw the Nanachs there, and I was walking around with like this black jacket, and a Nanach yarmulke. Just imagine like someone trying, a real wannabe Nanach. Then I came back and I got more into it a little bit. I started doing, started jumping around a little bit with Chaim Walden. And when I was 18, my parents moved on to Wallenberg Circle, and Shimon Kreisel lived there. So that was like, that was my in. So me and him connected.
Shimon was Nanach then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very heavy Nanach. He bought like a suitcase of stickers from Israel,
He was ready to go.
Yeah.
A little side note. I'm driving through Israel. This is one of the last times I was there. And I started counting Nanach stickers
versus
Chabad stickers. And I will tell you, Chabad is killing. Just saying. They have much more stickers. I'm just saying Nanach have to up that game a bit because it was like 5-1 easy. Anyway.
I'm not anymore in the
sticker game.
Yeah, I'm letting it be. Let other people deal with it. I used to be very into it.
But what was that?
The appeal?
You're getting into it. No, what do you, okay. Tell me more.
For the first 5 years, I was just jumping around and dancing, and it was fun Judaism. It was like, nothing wrong, right? I'm not off the derech, but I'm having fun.
Okay.
And then after 5 years, I was 21, and Chaim Walden tells me, you're a hypocrite. You should go to Uman. You can't be a Nanach and not go to Uman. So I booked my ticket to Uman. For the next 5 years, I was having fun in Uman without really knowing much about Rabbi Nachman or any of the teachings.
So far, you're in 8,
Just
9
having fun.
years, 10 years, and still haven't really learned
Yeah,
about
well,
the
maybe
teachings.
8 years. 8, 9 years.
Right?
I don't remember exactly when was the first time I opened Likutei Moharan.
Really?
And I started reading it. And then, okay, so now at this point, I'm having fun and I'm loving it and I'm advocating for it because at the end of the day, the way I see it is, you know, you want to connect however you can. If you're not connecting in any other way, at least connect this way. It's the same God.
Right.
You know, so I used to bring back necklaces and give them out to all the people in the bar. We used to go to the Roadhouse. We used to, you know, have fun there, go to raves. We used to give out necklaces there. And that was my thing, you know, connect through the necklace.
Right. What's in the necklace?
The necklace is a copy of the letter.
Oh, it's also the letter again.
Yeah. That's all it is. But it has more significance because, or at least to me, it's like whenever I needed that connection, I just held on to it, you know. It's the thought that's behind it. It's not,
Right.
I don't think there's any magical, you know, sending tzitzis. Does tzitzis have anything magical to it? If you don't know what's behind it, I don't think so. I don't know, maybe.
No, the point of tzitzis is that you're supposed to see it and think about what's behind it.
Right.
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 So what's behind the Patek? What's behind
the
letter?
Patek is the story of the Patek where Saba was, I don't know, 20 years old. He was in yeshiva in Tveria, I think. And he was a Breslover, nobody else was, and he was learning Breslov, and everyone else was against it. And he was a very, very frum guy. He used to fast a lot. And on Shivasar B'Tammuz, which is today.
Holy cow.
Hello.
That's why we're doing it today.
Yeah.
For this story, folks. Yeah.
The Chag HaPetek's coming up.
This is called Chag HaPetek?
In a few days. When he got the Petek. It was in a couple of days.
Oh, it was days. Okay, so what happened, Shivasar B'Tammuz?
So he drank. He didn't realize it was like a few minutes after sunrise. And he thought it was before. And he drank. And he got super depressed. Like he's the big faster guy. And on a very important fast day, he broke the fast. Anyway, so he got super depressed, and after a couple of days, he had this thought that he should open Likutei Halachos, I think. Anyway, he goes into his cubby, locked cubby, and he opens it up, and out falls a paper, and he didn't pay attention to that. He just started reading, and I don't remember what he was reading, but anyway, after a while, he saw the paper on the floor. He picks it up, and it says, "It was very hard for me to come down to you, my precious student, to tell you how much I appreciate your service. And about you, I said, my fire will burn till Mashiach will come. And with this, I will reveal to you a secret. Malay vegadish mikav lekav." I don't know what that means. Full and heaped from, I don't know exactly. Pei tzadik yud kei.
Oh, that's the year?
No, it just, that's what it says. With this I will reveal to you a secret. Malay v'gadish mikav lekav pei tzadik yud kei. V'chizuk avedat tivineu. And with your strengthening of your service you will understand. And the sign will be that they will tell you on Yud Zayin B'Tammuz. Yud Zayin B'Tammuz is a day that you didn't fast. Or it's a day that you don't fast. That's what it says on the letter. He got very excited and he became very happy. He saw that as a direct letter from Rabbi Nachman. Then there's a whole story. People say people put it in there, then they disputed it, and this and that. But the whole Nanach movement is based on that.
But what is that saying? That's just saying.
So it's a letter of support when one is feeling super depressed and feeling.
Then you should know Rabbi Nachman is looking out. I mean, it just sounds like he's looking out for him.
Yeah, looking out for
that.
him.
How does that start a movement? Like then it was like about. Then he just upped Breslov. Like
no, the movement started many years later. He was a very holy guy.
Right.
Many years.
What was
later,
his real name? They call him a Saba.
Yisrael Barodesser.
Okay.
Many years later, he was in a nursing home, and some Frenchies took him out. They saw the letter, this, that, and they started a whole movement around him.
He didn't share this letter with people early on?
I'm not sure. At some point he did. He shared it with different rabbis, and they liked it, and they saw it. I don't remember. I don't know at what point they saw it. At one point, Moshe Feinstein saw it and wrote.
You saw the letter, or
yeah, the letter.
Because I read
both.
what he wrote, and he it sounded like he was just supporting him.
Right, but he writes there that he has something of very big importance or something.
He does?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hanging in Shul.
I know. That's why I read it. I was like, where?
My friend walked into the Shul the other day, and he asked me, "Why do you guys have one letter, like one Nanach letter and one Moshe Feinstein letter? Is it just to show that you accept everyone?"
You didn't get the connection? I love it. I do like that, though.
Right.
I had some interesting thoughts on the Shul recently. Okay. You know what?
Anyway. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, we don't have to keep going on it. I'm just curious how that went into like
background.
what became of it, which is like, it sounds like.
What did I do with it?
Yeah, what do you do with it?
I was in Monsey. I put on Nanach, back in my pickup truck. I was like a really cool Nanach. I was probably one of the first successful Nanachs.
Right.
I had a business. I made parties. We had a blast.
Yeah, I've
But we
never
did
actually heard of another successful Nanach. I don't know how they pay for their movement. Who pays for these stickers?
I don't know.
No, okay.
They collect money. They're hardcore. No, but at that time, I still advocate for it. But now I have a wife and kids, so it's hard for me to go out in the streets and scream. So
Right.
I do it at home. But when I learn, I believe in positive Judaism. I think this is what the Zohar, Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Nachman brought to us, is that Judaism is a good thing.
Right.
And it gives you life.
You're not a
the
fan
other
of
way.
Shver Designer Yid?
No. Hell no.
Hell no. No interest in that at all.
No, I read the other day from the Zohar that the Torah is supposed to be Yamin that has a little bit of small. What does that mean? Yamin is Chesed and Rachamim, and small is Din. So the Din is part of the Yamin, not the other way around, where the main is small and it has a little bit of Yamin coming out of it. And to me, that was a very important thing. Growing up, I didn't want to throw away God. I really believed in God. And I tried to spread that. And especially in Monsey, I think people need to hear that.
Right. Did that end up having, you were one of the founders of our Shlomo, right? You allowed to say that?
Yeah.
How does it work? So was that like an outgrowth of kind of
Of
trying to
Nanach?
spread, your own experience of like trying to spread
Well-
joy. Our Shlomo is the Schlom Kbak Shul that we daven in.
Yeah, I'll tell you
That
how
I
Or
daven
Shlomo,
in.
for me, what's my involvement in Or Shlomo. I moved into the neighborhood. I knew Shmili from before. We did Vesikin together. When I did Vesikin back then, I came as a Nanach. We used to blast music after davening, and even by Shiner, we used to do Vesikin and then blast music after davening and dance. So it was a very structured way of being Nanach, kind of, because you're getting up at 5 a.m. That's pretty.
A lot for it. Yeah,
You're not staying in bed till 12 and coming out and dancing. So it was that part. We were all businessmen. Anyway, so I got married and moved into the neighborhood, and for the first few years, I was looking for a shul. So the shul next door to me that I bought eventually was like very Litvish, and I tried taking that over because the rabbi there was leaving, and they weren't interested. I remember I was telling the rabbi, "Hey, you want to have a minyan? You want people to show up? Just spice it up a little bit. We can, you have people here that are interested," but they weren't open to it.
Right.
And I told Shmili, we got to start something. We were actually looking to buy something on the 45. We were looking at different things. And at some point, he told me, come to the country club. There's a minyan there. So
Was it in?
That's where I met you
Yes.
this time around. In One East.
You should say this time around?
Yeah, because I met you a long time ago.
Oh, like in
In the Raleigh Hotel.
Oh.
Remember that?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like in a past, like Gilgal or something. I'm like,
funny.
oh, we get weird.
I once picked up a guy on the way to Rainbow, and I asked him, "How old are you?" He says, "Which lifetime?"
I love it.
He was 18.
I knew a guy who changed his name to Notice.
Okay.
And he said, he was like, I don't know, somebody listening must know who notices. If they could just comment here. But he told me he's tripped out. I met him in L Park in Brooklyn. And he says, yeah. I'm like, is your name like when you started your life, like, was it Notice? He said, no. I gave myself the name. I'm like, what happened? He says, you know, I was living life and then I smoked weed and I noticed that the world is happening. I didn't notice what was happening. So I gave myself the name Notice. Anyway, sorry. I don't think
I love that.
I was like,
that's awesome.
That's wild.
That's great.
And he just started to notice. And then that's easy. That became his name.
So
Somebody's got to know Notice.
So good.
He's a classic guy. Wait, so we met in the Raleigh?
I think the first week after, I don't know, first week that they were open, after Chaim Shayid bought it.
Right.
Our place showed up.
It was like still under construction.
Yeah, it was really rough. Yeah.
It was rough. We didn't have any hot water.
Yeah, you didn't really have anything there.
But we got a great deal, I think.
They probably paid you to come. No, but that's when I saw you for the. I was.
So you working there?
I was there a little bit. Yeah.
You Mountaindale?
I was in Yeshiva in Mountaindale, so my friend was running the rally, so I came over. You know.
So you were still you was just headed towards.
I was just breaking out of my Haimish yeshivish background.
Right.
Mountaindale was my segue.
Okay, so then this shul was built. Okay, you want to hear this crazy thought I have about the shul? It's not a crazy thought. It's a little bit of a sad thought, but I don't know if it's... Anyway, the thought goes like this. Somehow I was sitting in shul, I think it was last Shabbos, and a guy said to me, it's so amazing to be in a place where everybody could just be individuals and be themselves, and like it's amazing. And of course, my cynic inside me started to yell and scream and say things. So... immediately I think of all the other times that happen. You know, the Baal Shem Tov shows up, Rabbi Nachman shows up, and all of a sudden people are just thinking differently and changes happening. And then what happens ultimately is the Baal Shem Tov movement, which was like, the Hasidic movement was like, okay, we're going to, what you said before, we're going to grow payas. It's going to be gorgeous, beautiful payas to bring down the shefa from Hashem and all the Kabbalistic stuff that goes around it. And then 3-4 generations later, you get the biggest smack in the face if you don't have payas. So we took something that was beautiful and turned it into like another rule. Yeah, so in my brain, my head was going, this is all cute, but eventually the Shushing takes over. And eventually... I don't want to be there for this, but when our Shlomo, when people are there, if you're from Shul and you want to argue with me about it, you can. But at a certain point, it's going to be like, why aren't you joyful while you're davening? Why aren't you feeling it and singing on the right tunes and like the stuff that is beautiful now? So that was my first cynical thought, right? But, of course, my cynic is, I don't know. We'll go into cynics because... my cynic and my wisdom are similar, but they're different. Anyway, but then the next thought was that but the world has changed. Meaning, if you look back 1,000 years ago, Judaism or non-Judaism, the world keeps getting better. And the only way it gets better is these little moments of time where there's a little shift. And you were saying like Ahava and Gevur, like there's a little bit of chaos that happens that's not in the rules. And it just shifts it a little bit, and then we go back to the rules. And we like immediately go back to the rules. And then everybody gets depressed that those are changed. But the little bit of change came in. Like if you talk about Hasidus now, like every Litvish yeshiva in the world has Hasidus Svarim now. Which is like how did that happen? How did it seep in to the norm? What I'm saying is, and then the shift happens, but you can only see it over a period of like 100, 200, 500, 1,000 years. You could see the shift. So then my thought was this. The thought goes, is that I am Zocha to be in the time bubble where chaos is happening, where things are being shook up, where people are asking questions and want change and want growth. And even if it shifts back and everybody turns that into a rule, I got to be part of that little movement to the side where change happens. Anyway, that was my cool thought.
No,
it's
Shul. Very accurate. Look, I went through a long time where I was kind of depressed at the direction that Or Shlomo took. And then I went to Israel for 2 years, and now I came back, and I'm like, this is awesome. Because you're right, it's not always going to be people jumping on top of Nanach vans, and it's not always going to be revolutionary, and it's going to take shape. It's going to have a form over time,
right?
But it's beautiful, and it's awesome. It's not perfect, and everyone has their stuff.
I think the way you say is that, like, wherever it goes, the Nanach van is coming along.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in there.
It's in there.
It gets lost. You don't see it.
Look, they still have... Look, even if it goes total different direction, right?
Yeah.
You can't stay with the same chaos forever. Chaos means, kind of like shaking up what is. But once that settles, then it's over. So then you have to start something new, right? But you can't be upset with what settled. I mean, you could be, but
right.
I choose not to be. It's not perfect, but it's amazing for me.
Well, Or Shlomo has really changed my life, and it's a funny. Should I tell you the story?
Yeah.
No, the story is that I started hating davening. And therefore hating Shul. Like the experience of this rigid experience of davening in Shul became like a very oppressive experience for me. And this was a bunch of years ago, and something happened, but I recognized around Rosh Hashanah time, I recognized that I would go into like the high holidays, and I would just go in feeling absolutely terrible about myself, what type of Jew I am, my connection, like who am I? And like then we spend hours and hours and hours and just sitting there and doing something I did not connect to. And at some point I realized, I'm like, every type of Jew is a different type of Jew. And everybody has their specialty. Like in therapy, like you could specialize. We were making a joke the other day. Like I work with prenatal, children, middle childhood, adolescence, adults, old age. That's my specialty in therapy. Like if you specialize in everything, you don't do anything. That's the idea.
Jack of all trades, master
of none. So when I thought about myself, like in Judaism, it was like I realized that I am a lover of Judaism. I'm a Havis Yisrael Judaism. That's my specialty, and everything else, I'm all right. Yeah, whatever.
Other people can take it.
I specialize, right. I have a specialty, and I have to be proud of my specialty. And then how does that fit in with all the rules? I'm not sure. I'm not breaking any rules, but I will really focus on my specialty. And then I do. I mean, I spend my life loving Jews. That is what I do. But the way it impacted me personally is that I decided to no longer daven. And now, I should say...
Can I just say, just for that was worth all my efforts in Or Shlomo.
Okay.
I love that. Go ahead.
So, no, I decided that the purpose of going to Shul was to love Jews. I will walk into Shul and just sit in the presence of all these beautiful people and just like enjoy the experience of being with my brothers and sisters, and just in this crazy world. There's a bubble in time, a bubble in space, where we just are like loving on each other and hugging all over the place and just being there for each other. And I said, listen, if I accidentally daven, all right, we're not going to see it. I'm not fighting it. That's not the reason I'm going. I'm going in to be with my people. And Since then, I love going to shul. I have to walk 1.5 miles to get to shul. Everybody's like, why are you walking to shul? They think I'm like the most devoted like davener ever. I'm going to see my people. They're there.
I love.
They're there. So since then, I don't want to ever miss. My whole life, I've been fighting off shul. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, it's too rigid. I can't. And the next person who shushes me, I started a whole movement with shushing, but I don't want to say it now.
Are you shush now?
No. I don't shush. I don't want to say it because people in the shul might hear.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to blow up.
Blow the cover.
But I love the shushers too.
Yeah.
We love the shushers.
Yeah, we hug
The holy shushers. Yeah, the holy shushers. And our Shlomo used to have you buy shushing rights. You remember?
Yeah.
You bought it every time.
Every time. A lot of money.
It was a lot of money to buy shushing rights. And then it went away.
So what's now?
We try not to shush as much as I think. I
think. Look, it's very, very open and accepting place with the shushing. With as much as the old me would go nuts when someone shushes. Now it's okay. There's space for that also. We have enough. I think we've built enough of a counter movement, like that someone that. It used to be that the balance was off. The shusher had all the power, and then the person getting shushed was all, the one at the bottom.
Yeah.
I think the balance it's more balanced out now. I think it's not such a big deal to get shushed in our Shlomo.
Right.
And the shusher, we recognize he's not coming from the place of like holier than thou. He's just triggered in his own way. And we have space for them all,
I think this must be the most Jewish conversation I ever had. I'm trying to think of a non-Jew listening to this conversation. Why they keep saying shusher? What is happening? Do non-Jews say shusher? I never heard of it.
They say, if you go to a church, it's quiet, then you can hear a pin drop, right? They always want the shuls to be like churches for some reason. So maybe they don't need it.
No, they got it down pat. They're not.
They don't have talking.
They don't have talking in church. We should look at what they're doing and get it right.
Or not.
Yeah,
It's fine. I let them do their thing, and I think that it's very. I look at Shul. Let me tell you something. But from what you just said is exactly what I've been fighting for the past few years in our Shlomo. I remember having a crazy trip with it. We took like maybe micro doses of stuff just to open up, and we were just sitting and talking, and we got to this point where I told the guys there, I said most people, I said most, I might be off, it could be 50-50, could be numbers are different. In my mind, most people come to shul not to daven. Even if they're coming to daven, they're not coming to daven. They're coming because they need to get out of their house. Shabbos morning. They're coming because they had a hard week and they want to see their friends. They're coming for camaraderie. They're coming to socialize. Happens to be the only place to do that is in shul, so you come to daven, right? But they're not really there to daven. They really just want to talk to each other and get things off their heart. And that's how the Pulish came about. And that's how...
Explain the Pulish to the Chavre.
The Pulish started in 1 East. There was the back where there were 2 Pulishes in 1 East.
Okay.
You were on one side.
Yeah.
Right? With the black couch.
The couch.
Right? By the kitchen.
That's the couch so much.
And I went to the porch.
1 East was a location.
Yeah. So back to how our Shlomo happened. So I went to... Our Shlomo Minyan has been going on for years. 15, 20 years. And that...
I was in it in most house.
Yeah, I was there once also years ago. And that is where the shul started, and that's where, But our Shlomo, as it is today, happened after we were in 1 East, which was like a little cabin, Avidan's cabin. And he let us use his dining room. It was really cool. Very, very cozy. It was really nice. So I used to sit in the front porch and learn and argue and schmooze, and then you had the back side. Anyway, then we were looking to make a shul. So we were looking at different places to buy, and we bought this one. And we can skip this part. Anyway, so I joined the board, and my whole push was that if you want people to be quiet in shul. Oh, so hold on. In One East, there was a guy. They used to always post these hell and brimstone messages about talking in shul.
Yeah.
And I used to. You remember that?
No, yeah. I once got into it a little, but I think it was after. Okay, go on.
So I used to fight him. One Simchas Torah, they were selling all the aliyahs and selling all the chasanim, and they were like going for high numbers. And I went over to this guy and I said, if we sell shushing rights and I win, will you respect it and stop shushing people? Not on the group, not in here. Don't bring these flyers that say you're going to go to hell if you're talking shul, or tach v'tat, or all these crazy things. Most recently, the missiles flying over Israel are from talking in shul.
What the heck?
That's what they said. I said that it's the other missiles. They're right about the missiles, but it's the ones going to Iran. So that's why I talk more on shul. But so he said, yeah. They started selling it, and I won it for $770.
Right.
That's when Shushing rights started. And it used to be a very strong thing. I would not let anyone shush. If someone shushed, I would shush him back double as loud.
Shush the shushes.
Shush the shusher, because I always believed that when someone shushes, he's doing it from a place of, I know better, right? From two places.
Holier than thou.
Holier than thou. It's true. If someone's doing it because he really wants it to be quiet in shul, so I'm going to teach him that if you're going to shush, it's just going to make more noise, because I'm going to be even louder. So that's someone that's coming from a holy perspective. But if someone's coming from a holier than thou place, they don't want to be called out. They do not. And you know, if you I don't know, the word just slipped my mind. If you like blow up or focus on what they're doing,
Right.
put it in the spotlight,
Magnified.
then they stop. So that's what I did for a while. And then when we moved to the new shul, I told them, I said, if you want to have a quiet shul, which I respect, I think it's very nice, but you have to give people a room to schmooze in. So first they gave the back room,
Right.
which was pretty small, but it was nice. We had a couch
By the
there.
kitchen you talking about? No.
The back, you know where the big fish tank glass is by the ladies section? The big window.
Not talking in the shul. You're talking about
Shul.
One East.
Not One East. No. I'm talking about in the new shul.
Oh yeah.
So that back room used to be one small room for the women's section and one small room for the schmoozing.
Yeah.
And then they needed more space for the women's section, so they opened that up and made the tent. And now it's very successful.
I'm very respectful in shul. I don't like to speak. I don't like to do it because of respect, but I love schmoozing during shul. Like I feel like that should be implemented. I feel like the difference, the change should be that there should be one area that somehow the acoustics, like some really high ceiling or something, and you could stay in shul, enjoy the singing, and also schmooze a little. Like I keep thinking of new options. Whatever.
It's hard because.
But you changed my view of shushers. You know that?
No.
You're the reason I changed all my views of shushing, because you said, listen, you can't just accept all the people that are talking. You also have to realize that the shushers have a life too. You don't accept them. Like, we're about accepting everybody. Like, you can't. And I was like, a part of me was like, if you're the type of guy who shushes all the time, like
you don't deserve.
what happened to your childhood? Like, something happened. There's a story. There's a backstory here.
It's true, by the way.
Somebody shushed you when you were a kid. You know what I mean? And
No, it's true.
no, but listen, it's funny I'm talking about this because people are very serious about having good decorum in shul. And I do understand the idea of like, of a shul like that everybody's talking is really hard to like be part of the, so.
Right, you need everyone else to be quiet.
I get it.
Be able to schmooze qualitatively in middle of laning.
Right.
If everyone else was schmoozing,
no, I don't want everybody to schmooze. I'm trying to have schmooze. Also, I think there's like whispering loud. A lot of people don't know when they're whispering loud. There's a quiet whisper, and then there's someone who thinks they're whispering, but they're really talking very loud. So it's different types of people. And it's the longest conversation I had on Shushing in my life. But I will tell you that one time I got one of the guys in the Shul, he may listen to this, I don't know, but he posted the fire and brimstone thing. And I just made one comment, and I think it really hurt him. I probably should apologize. But I was like, Schlom Kbak is rolling over in his grave right now. And that was like a mean thing.
No, but you know what's interesting? Schlom Kbak, I once heard a recording of Schlom Kbak screaming about people that talk in Shul. And then I think maybe in the same recording he says that you shouldn't shush little kids, but adults, yes.
Oh, so maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think now he's up there and he sees the truth.
No.
You know, that we're a bunch of little kids. Anyone that's talking in Shul and doesn't have the correct decorum is only because he doesn't know what, you know, has no clue how you're supposed to be in Shul and why you should be like that in Shul. He's not in a knowledge way, but in a mature way. We didn't get there yet.
Right.
You know.
Meanwhile, it turned into something very, very beautiful. Why is there? I'm gonna ask you this because you're here, but I would ask any of the guys, the founders. Why is there no rabbi? What is the deal with that? Do you know?
I can't speak for everyone, but we have thought about bringing on a rabbi every so often. There were people fighting it. I used to fight it.
Fight to have a rabbi?
Not to have a rabbi.
Not to have a rabbi. So why?
We try. You know, I think. I don't know. My first response is I have no clue. At this point, I haven't been there for 2 years. I don't know why now there's no rabbi. I don't know if it's the same reasons I didn't want a rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really beautiful the way it is now. I don't think we need a rabbi. You know, in the beginning, we were kind of wondering if you need a rabbi, otherwise it'll fall apart. But we've been around for a couple of years, and it's being there are rabbis in Shul. We have rabbis. We have dayanim. We have everything you need, but there's no one. There's no one guy that tells everyone what to do.
Right.
You know, and I think it's very beautiful. Happens to be where I live in Israel. There's also no rabbi.
Really?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Where do you live again?
Nechusha.
Nechusha. I've been there. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great spot. And to me, it's like, wow, this is what everything I want from Or Shlomo, but they're there already. And it's like normal for them. It's not coming from a rebellious place, which is weird to me. Because like,
they just didn't think of having a rabbi? It's just not a thing?
I don't know. I have no clue why they don't have a rabbi. There are rabbis there.
Right.
There's no rabbi.
It's so interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Or Shlomo is what it has become. What it is like probably one of the most beautiful places in Judaism.
I mean, I adore it. But
is it your wife?
It's not my wife. Does not get answered. Okay. No, it is very beautiful, and I love how it's accepting of everybody. I think, like the discussion that we had on the chat. I don't know, just now. I don't go in the chat much. It's too much for me. It's overwhelming. But I will say this: I don't archive it. Like I like to still check once in a while. But it's like a lot. There's a lot of discussions. But the discussion they had was, don't smoke pot on the steps of the shul.
I love it.
I will say that I just love that I was in a shul that was a discussion. Yeah, of course there was like people really angry, like don't smoke pot, and people like, what do you mean I can smoke pot wherever I want? And it was like kind of everybody. But I was like, I love being in a shul that this is a conversation.
I love what I saw from that conversation.
Yeah,
is I was happy that the people in charge weren't getting involved. There was like holding space for everyone to voice their opinion. Very angry against it, very angry for it. This guy, that guy. The space was being held. And because the second the people in charge get involved, then I was like, oh my gosh, what direction is this going in? You know?
Right.
But if they're not getting involved, I see, okay, this is good. You know, the space is being held. This is good. We have room for both sides. We have room for everybody.
Right.
And this is our Shlomo, you know?
I will tell you that I got insulted because of pot in our Shlomo. It's a story about everything. What happened was, no, I don't do drugs, so probably most people know that. I run sober homes and all that stuff. And then once in a while, there's somebody who has like a, Shabbos is a little bit of a THC spray or a toothpick, and I see people like, Machen Heimish handing it out, to other people. And I started getting insulted. I was like, I don't want to use, but at least ask. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they look at you as the clean guy.
I'm like,
the sober guy.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, you want to be
at least
let
let me say no.
Yeah.
Like, I want to feel like you want me to be part of your chavra, but I choose not to be, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So I've let a couple people know that, so they always offer now.
That's nice.
And I'm like, no, thank you. But really, I appreciate you offering me drugs.
Part of the chavra.
I have the same thing. Oh, Mavaksha. I don't usually I bring up Mavaksha, but I don't really talk about you, one of the Mavaksha. One of the Mavaksha. So in Mavaksha.
Saved my life. Did I do that right?
That was amazing. Look dead on the camera. Mavaksha is great.
It really. You remember when I joined?
I do. Okay, we're going to talk about that in one second.
Fine.
But all the guys in Mavaksha are more exciting than me. They all, like, to me, the idea of, like, finishing your day and then not just snuggling up with your wife and, like, just ignoring the rest of the world. I just don't understand it. Like, let's go do something. I'm like,
that's enough.
I'm with my peep. I'm with my person, really. I mean, I got my kids, too. But, like, I just want to hang out in my house with my wife,
Were you always like that, by the way?
Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Well, I've always been a one-on-one person. I did a lot of adventures, and it's either one-on-one or by myself, generally. Everybody always liked me. I was very likable, so I was always in everybody's group. But when I was like, I had enough, I just kind of slip off.
My question is, when you got married,
yeah,
you were right away wanting to be with her at night and not going out, not going with friends and stuff, or it took
100%. So it got basically. I met my wife 2.5 years before I got married. And we became best friends. Which I didn't even know that I was in love with her till like everybody else knew way before me. But I didn't know. Like, she was just my best friend. And we were like becoming more religious together. And we were like going to classes together. But we would just hang out for hours and hours and hours because discussions are wild. Like, I loved having conversations with her, and we would do a lot of people watching and schmoozing, but other people would come around. She was very popular and I was popular, but it was always us, and then other people would come around. So I like had a stoop. I'll give you an example. Like, I had a stoop on Yoel Solomon Street. You know Yoel Solomon Street? It used to be a place called the Rock Bar. And this is like pre my wife, really, but like I used to sit on this stoop across the street from the Rock Bar, and then people would just come and I would do sessions. So I was like already like a little therapist.
In Jerusalem?
Yeah, in Jerusalem. I would just sit there, and people would just walk over, and then they just start talking, and we would get deep, and then the next person would come, and that's like how my night was. But when my wife came around, which wasn't my wife, was a friend, she just became like we were together. Like, she had a spot like in this coffee place, like we would go there, and then there would be a group of 20 people. But like it was just like we were I forgot, like the nucleus, and then other people were around. We had a lot of friends around. But it was always us together, and that's how it always was. Like, so for years, I'm just hanging out with her, and then we got married. I was like, oh, this is like official and legit. I could just hang out with her now. Like, it's now it's official. So I got lucky because we just connect so deeply that like it just works. And sometimes it shocks me how many millions of hours I must have talked to this woman. Like, it's like. But there's nobody I want to, like, today I had something to complain about. Like, I really was annoyed about something, and I just, like, burst into the house, and I'm like, I don't like complaining, but here goes. And then she's like, okay. And then she like listens to my complaining. And then like, but it's like, I like hold it in till I get to talk to my wife. Like and she sees a part of me that I don't think anybody else has ever seen. So it's been around. People ask me like marriage advice, and I'm like, well, you have to marry Allie. And I already got her. So good luck. I have no other advice. Does that mean? I don't think I'm good at marriage. I just got really lucky. And I'm desperately terrified to lose her, which people say is sick. It's not healthy. But my desire to be with her and my terror of losing her has really created a
can we go on
good
to
balance.
yeah. Okay. The way I see schools, right?
Yeah.
Is very different than what's going on now. Let's say in Muncie. I think in most from places. I think in Israel, I think there's more opportunity. But I think a school is supposed to be something where your kid just fits and thrives. Maybe it's not easy to find always, but that's what it should be. Instead, what I think schools have become is it's like, okay, you need to fit into this thing. And if you don't, now we have to figure it out. So you go to therapy, take pills, whatever it is, right? And I think you said about marriage. I think if people were given more freedom to look for what fits more, then maybe they wouldn't need so much marriage advice. If they would be allowed to find what you found. Kind of. I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah, but people
maybe it's not possible.
they've tried it in so many different ways. Meaning, like in the past, the idea of people dating each other is so brand new, not just in the Jewish world, in the whole world. Like the whole world has always been some form of arranged marriage. Yeah, maybe you were set up by a friend or a cousin or this, but it was some form of like you go. And then now we're like all trying to get to know each other. And to me, it seems like it's failing. It worked for me, but like it seems like getting to know each other, like then everybody who says they got to know each other 3 years in is like, I do not know what I got into here.
No, but the question is from what background getting to know each other comes from. Because if you think about what are all the marriage issues, right? Or a lot of them. It's a lot of misunderstandings, a lot of not knowing how to deal with situations. But I think that we create a lot of that.
I think most marriage issues is the same thing as business issues when you have a partner. I think most marriage issues come from I'm putting in more than you. Like that like I am doing all the work and you're doing nothing.
Well, that's only if you see it as a work. That's
what I'm saying. It's like I'm putting everything and getting nothing. Like I think that's the core behind. Maybe I'm wrong. It just strikes me that seems to be the core behind everything. It's like I'm trying to make this relationship more romantic and you're just trying to make it more practical. And the other person's like, well, you're running around in the clouds and I got to do all the work and make all the money and blah, blah, blah. And I come home and nothing is done and it's all over the place. And then the other one's, well, I'm the one bringing up the kids and you don't get involved. It's like, it's a lot of like what I'm bringing and what you're bringing. I don't know if that was... I cut you off because someone asked me yesterday, like I was doing a little question answer session, impromptu, for no particular reason. And somebody asked me like, what should a person do to have a good, have a good marriage? And I was saying the idea that I believe that marriage is not a 50-50 scenario. And people have heard it before, but I do think marriage is a one person, 100% scenario. Like I want to be, when you look at marriage, you should look at what type of husband I should be, not what type of marriage I should have. Like I could strive to have to if I want to strive to have a good marriage, it might not work out the way I want it because there's more than one person involved. Right. But if I strive to be an amazing husband, then I have full control over that. And I could actually, that's like the 12 steps. You know, you understand the things you have no control over. I know how to control being a great husband. So I don't think people should try to have a good marriage. They should try to be their role to the best of their ability and hope and pray that the other person has the same plan. Right. But it's just hoping. Because you can't make someone. It doesn't matter if
to your part.
So I find that most people, when they feel you're filling up their tank and you're giving them so much, they don't need to fight you, and then they're like, "Oh, I could also be a great spouse. Let me try also," and then they do it. Anyway, all this to me, every time I talk about marriage at all, it feels judgmental because I don't get to. Right. I don't get to have a conversation about this because my wife does love me and does and lets me know and doesn't make me feel like she's not there. At least whatever 90-something% of the time, like it feels so. Like how do I know? Tell someone, hey, you know, your spouse is not giving you anything. Well, you should just be a better person for as long as you can, and eventually you'll collapse and it won't be good. So that's I don't know. But you were talking about kids and school.
Yeah, go back because I just went there because of. Anyway, I need a lot more thought and discussion on marriage before I can give an opinion.
You have no opinions?
No, after this conversation, I kind of feel the same as you. So I don't know much. No, because I don't know if it's possible. When it comes to kids, I should say I feel very lucky that you know, my first kid, she's in a school that I didn't think was good because it's very system, you know, and I'm traumatized by the system. But after a while, so she's enjoying it. So just leave her there. She's loving it. She has friends. It's great. And then my second kid, you know, I found the forest school for him.
Forest school, you said?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
School in the forest. Exactly how it sounds.
I mean, they do everything in the forest.
Everything, yeah. There's no classrooms.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You only have that in Israel, huh?
Right. So look, I only have that in Israel. I only have that near me. You know, it's not religious, and I don't care. Like, there's many different. I got to tell you, they said they weren't religious. So I asked them, what does it mean you're not religious? Do you speak about God? They said no. Unless the kids bring it up, we don't talk about it. Do you serve kosher? Yeah. Do you teach the parsha? Yeah. They teach it experientially, which is very cool. They teach Yom Tovim experientially. So I went to sit down there by their open house. I'm wondering what's not religious about this place. You know what I figured out?
What'd you figure out?
I gotta say this, but I figured out that they don't have a book with which to screw the kids up with. That's it.
That's it.
That's the only difference. They're not coming to school saying, "Where's your yarmulke? Where's your tzitzis? Say bracha." They're just letting the kids be. You know. And
it feels right to me. I worked when I was you could get back, but when I was 17, I worked in the Samuel Fields Y, and I worked there, and it just seemed like all the kids were having a blast. It was like a secular camp, about half Jewish, half non-Jewish, and I think it's ultimately Jewish camp, but it accepts everybody. And this was like my real first experience with secular people. Like I didn't really have, and everybody was just having a good time. No one was sitting there trying to ruin everybody's fun. Like I was like waiting for like line up for Shacharis, and you're like, we would go places. One counselor goes in front, the other and then the other counselor goes in the back, and then they just start walking, and then some kids lag around. I was usually the back one, so I got to hang out with like the laggers, which are my favorite people. But we all went, and there was and then there was like, okay, everybody choose your activity. You want to do drama or, there was like electives, but at no point, I was like, we're in camp. I think this should happen in school too, but we were in camp. At no point did they enforce any rules. There was nothing to enforce besides for we're going in that direction. You coming with us? And they're like, okay, we're coming. It was like just fun. It was so hard for me to conceive of what was happening. Like it didn't compute in my brain that they're just allowed to have fun. When I went to camp, I hated camp with a passion. And that was camp.
For that reason.
I was like, get up, shachris, this, that, line up. We will not start shachris until everybody from your bunk in. I'm, of course, the last person to show up. Somebody's like, where are you, man? Like, we're losing color war because I don't want to, like, chant I don't want to scream Amen Yehi Shmi Rabba louder than the other guy. So I had a similar experience of the frustration of, like, that you're mentioning with kids. Like, I didn't fit in any of their systems. And I didn't know what to do with myself. I mean, my thing is that I think who was it? I think it was John Adams maybe who said that, no, Thomas Jefferson said that there should be a revolution like every 20 years. Like you should be like, because the second, you take over, the next guy is the same bad guy as ever. But we should be, every once in a while, we should sit down and go,
well, overall, people should.
Why are we in school?
Yeah.
We should sit down and at least ask that question.
I think that the whole idea of system, look, we're progressing. We're moving towards a new, call it redemption, or maybe not. Maybe we're going to fall right back into something else after a couple of years, maybe. But it seems like we're heading in a good direction. So I don't know what was in the past. Maybe they didn't know. I don't know. Maybe they didn't know any better. But I really think kids are pretty smart. And I think that God put into kids the ability to figure themselves out if you just don't get in their way.
Well, you have to teach them, no?
Yes, but it happens automatically. It happens, There's so much in this world to learn from that the kids automatically gravitate towards things they're interested in. You end up teaching them because, I was reading the Chumash last week and my son comes to sit next to me and says, read out loud. I'm like, it's not a storybook. No, I realize it is a story.
It is a storybook.
So let me just try to say it in English. He's a 5-year-old kid. I never asked him to come read the Chumash with me. He just wants to know, My daughter, she went to Shul. I realized this. This morning I took her to Shul, or Shlomo. And I'm laughing at a different story. But anyway, it's the middle of Shemona Esrei. I'm holding her. She tells me to put her down. I put her down. She goes, I peek, and she slowly closes the door. Because everyone's quiet. I'm thinking to myself, nobody ever taught her that. No one told her, now it's Shemona Esrei, close the door quietly. How'd you figure it out? These things happen, Of course she's in school and she's learning things there, right?
Right.
But
mostly it's by example, you're saying. Like,
yeah,
they're watching.
Most of the time. The school pushes homework. We don't push homework. I don't care if my kid does homework. She's fine. She reads. She wants to read. She's interested in things. Maybe she's not interested in the things I want her to be interested in, but who cares? She'll figure it out. Anyway, I think that if we allow people to be people naturally, a lot of these issues would go away. Whether it's in marriage, whether it's in school, kids. I think I think most of the issues come from we're trying to make people be different than what they naturally are. And then when we try to go back to that, they're so screwed up. I know for myself, like my whole life, I'm working on getting rid of all the issues that came from them trying to, make me something that I'm not. So now I'm not that. Now I'm not who I was.
You've overcorrected?
Yeah. Now I'm like, trying to be me, Well, I was me at 5. You should just let me be me and I would be fine.
It's very hard, especially if you grow up in a way. Let's say they talk about like generational trauma. It's really hard to discern what parts were good and what parts were bad. You have like Tony Robbins. I watched him once having a conversation with a guy, and he was talking about or a woman. I don't know. They were talking about like all this pain that this father gave. Let's say her, I think it was a woman. And all this pain that his father screwed her up and said all of this and that. And then he said to her, like, if you just, are you a good person? So you're only giving your father the blame for the bad, but the good, it's not that he doesn't get the benefits of the good. So it's just the bad. So if you're going to say that you are who you are because someone else made you this way, then you have to allow the good and the bad, which I find is really fascinating with our lives, because we grew up and we had pain and we're like, okay, I'd like to fix that. But how many times are we throwing out the baby with the bathwater, where we're saying, we're like, okay, well, everything in Judaism is bad. Everything in my upbringing is bad. Everything is, and you're just throwing everything away. It's really hard to determine, because when you're a kid, it all hurt.
Right. So I'll say, if I'm so proud of who I am and all my decisions right now, then I should thank my parents for it.
Shouldn't you?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Isn't that a hard thing to say, though?
I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what it is. It seems like they didn't choose this. I am like this despite them trying to make me this way, and I went this way, right?
It seems like that.
It seems like. But at the end of the day,
it's not
who
true.
I am today is a result of them.
Right. I'll say this.
I accept.
Have you ever met someone who has, like, beautiful midos? Like, they just act nice, and their parents are the worst. Like, it's rare. Meaning, if you see someone, they're taught how to be a good person. If you're a good person, something happened in your childhood that gave you this idea. Like, your daughter knows to be quiet when she closes that door, because she's seeing you as a considerate person, and she's watching, what could I do to be considerate? And she's making that move. But she learned it from you. So maybe she'll get older and be like, no, they taught me all this bad stuff.
Okay, fine.
Right?
So now let's bring it back.
Yeah.
So I accept. It's pretty. My parents, I'm pretty okay giving them the credit, but like my principal, no.
No, they don't.
Maybe one day.
I just had my principal on the podcast.
Really?
But he was my good principal.
Oh, okay. That doesn't count.
Yeah. I realized, I'm like, what? I had a nice guy. Yeah.
But back to my point that we don't have to try too hard.
To raise kids?
Yeah. I mean, it is challenging. Don't get me wrong. It's a pain in the neck. And I get triggered like crazy, and there's a lot to deal with. It's not easy. But when it comes to religious stuff, even I don't know, social stuff, any stuff, I don't try so hard to teach them. I try not to get in their way. That's the challenging part.
Right.
Not getting triggered, not abusing them, not, scream. I get triggered a lot. That's my work. That's the challenging part. But teaching them, I don't know. They know more than me.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's teaching, because I realize I'm about to have the yard sale. My mother, it's coming week, and someone asked me like how I'm feeling about it, and there's a lot that hurts. Like, there was a lot. Childhood was not always perfect, but I'm in the middle of like full gratitude. I am who I am because of this woman, and a lot of my pain is because of this woman, and it's, I don't know if I necessarily like to share that, but it's true for everybody.
Right.
But I don't know which way to go with that. But I will say this, from all the psychology that I've learned, this stuff, we blame parents for everything, which bothers me a lot. But even if it's true, if you really sit with people and get to know them, the stuff that really people are hurting from or even have gained from are almost all unconscious stuff that the parents did.
True.
So we're sitting around going, I want to be a better parent because I'm going to be kinder and I'm always going to be nice. And well, they saw the little twitch in your eye when every time you walked into the room.
Not just that. The screw-ups happen when you get triggered.
Right.
There's nothing you can do about it.
No, but you could train yourself. I don't want to be, but it doesn't matter, because listen, your kid walks in, sees you learning. They just learned. That learning is good. You didn't have to sit with him and learn with him an hour a day in order to learn. Good. But if he comes home and you're never learning, then he may also say, oh, learning's bad. You didn't even do anything wrong.
Right.
You just said, oh, learning's bad. What? My father doesn't do learning.
No, but
Or like me, when I work out, my kids start working out.
I want to tweak that.
Yeah.
I don't think that a kid, I might be wrong about this, I didn't think about it too much, but I don't think a kid learns what's bad from seeing your father not doing it. What I learned, the things that I'm allergic to or that I'm traumatized by are the things that were forced on me.
Why is that trying? There were a lot of things forced on you.
No, forced in a traumatic
You
way.
said
Forced in a traumatic way.
why was it traumatic? Well, let's take it
this way. Sit and learn for an hour
Yeah.
when I couldn't. When I had no patience.
Okay, but you had to go to school all day.
True.
So that was all forced.
Yeah.
So, but they also said you better apologize to your brother when you hit him with a rock or whatever, and that was forced. I'm saying like there's a lot of forcing going on. Forcing in itself is not necessarily bad. You have to also realize that there are majority of strict homes, the kids just continue what they learn and they're fine with it. For some reason, something happened that you weren't fine with it, which takes your nature and your nurture into account. And for some reason, it didn't work. So you're like, the forcing is the problem. But I could show you statistics that is not true. The forcing is not the problem. Something else is the problem. That's what I'm trying to say is like, we say, oh, I'm not going to force my kids. But then you show your kids that you're very anxious all day. Not by wanting to be anxious all day, but you're anxious all day. So your kid becomes anxious, and then they're like, well, it's because they were too free with me. That's why I'm anxious. And then you go into the therapy, and you're like, oh, I think it's probably you were picking up stuff that they didn't even do. Like, so what I'm saying is when you're saying with parenting, it's not so much. We have to work on our conscious level as best we can. I don't want to ever be angry at my kids and yell at my kids, and I don't want to be too strict, and I don't want to be too lenient, and I can do all these things. But ultimately, at the end of it all, the stuff that is good and the stuff that's bad is really about you working on yourself, because it's the unconscious stuff that is coming out. I could act like a very nice person to everybody, but if I'm angry inside, my kid's picking that up. They know it. If I'm anxious inside, they're picking it up. And I can't stop that without an enormous amount of working on myself. So I agree that I don't think it's so hard to be a parent in a weird way. Like, just try not to ruin them, but recognize that your kids are picking up all your stuff. And they're picking up how you treat your spouse, and they're picking up how you treat other people, and they're picking up how to react to situations, and they're picking up how, like, or this, like you're saying, they're very strict. Most people I know that their parents are very strict, they learned in their head that their parents chose Judaism over them. There was like some sort of choice being made. Right. That leaves a kid feeling very vulnerable. But that's an issue with the parent and his understanding about his mission of raising children. It's like weird that he didn't realize it. He decided that he should commit to God more than he should commit to his kids.
Well, most religious people are like that.
Yeah, but what always shocked me is that if you look around at some of the most well-adjusted people you'll meet, their parents were very strict. A lot of them. I remember, like, I didn't really have to go to shul too much or whatever. I was kind of like flying around. The kids that were like standing with their father in shul, and like, I think they were kind of cool with shul. I was the one who was uncool with shul. Like, it's just like, I don't think any of these things are intrinsically bad. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, it's a kind of a crazy thing, because how are we supposed to change it? Oh, I want to make a very not strict school. And you know what? And then my kids will come to me and sit down. I had a whole long conversation Friday night, which was so brutal with my daughter Shalva, which was like talking about all the difficulties of her childhood and like her being raised. And I'm like, I'm super dad. And I love her mom. And like, I'm like, what else could I do? But you know what? And sneeze thing. I'll give you the sneeze thing. So I'm always like, I don't talk about sneeze. Sneeze is stupid. I don't talk about it. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's hurting women more than it's helping women. I don't see it as such a thing. yeah, I like the idea. Modesty is good. We should all have respect for ourselves, and it's a cool idea. But if it's going to the level of oppression, it's just crazy. So I've always been, I don't talk to my kids about, my girls. Definitely. My boys also. But I'm saying, but she remembers the couple of times I did talk to her. But I remember, I know those conversations. The conversations went like this. I don't care what you wear. But you're going to a school that does. So I care that you stay in school and that you don't get kicked out and you don't end up like feeling inferior. So let's go to a different school where you can wear whatever you want. You're fine. Your school is the problem right now. You've made changes in your life that don't connect with the school. I'm good with that because you're amazing and you're the best. And like, what? I don't even think there's any issue. But that school has spies and they run around. You're going to get in trouble and you're getting, I forgot what they call them, skirted or something. I don't know, like where they would check how long their skirt is. Stupidity. What I'm saying is like, I had this conversation with her a couple of times, and then ultimately we switched her to a school that was totally cool with it. And she got to wear whatever she wanted to wear, and it was fine. And she's an amazing, we call Bas Yisrael, and she loves God and is connected spiritually, and she's the best person ever. And what I'm saying is...
Hold on, what does she remember from the conversation?
So, right. So then, okay, so I'm hearing this whole guy. So I think, wow, I really nailed it. Yes, did I nail it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Am I amazing? You used to talk to me about tznius too much. You were too serious about it. All my friends were fine, and you talked about it. I'm like, do you remember the conversation? Yeah, but it was just like, you were focusing on it. I'm like, this is the thing I've been like pulling my hair out. Because I had 3 conversations with her about it in her entire life. All of them were about the school. She didn't hear it. It's not what she heard.
Wow.
That's not what she heard. And I'm trying really hard, but you know what? I think she turned out great with all this pain. I think because she knew that I don't care about anything but her. Every one of my kids know that, and they're turning out great because of that. And it's not because of my great parenting skills. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm an all right parent. Everybody, definitely people would say I'm too lenient, way too lenient to raise kids because whatever, my own issues. But I just don't see any real reason of doing any chinuch with my kids. They already know everything. What am I chinuching them? I don't know. And, and I'm very lenient and I have so people will, argue with some of the ways. But when I'm dealing with it as a therapist, the only thing that seems to matter is what that kid thinks my parent thinks about me. My mother never told me, like people will say, my father never told me, I'm proud of you. You ask the father, what are you talking about? I've said it a million times. I think it all the time. What are you talking about? I supported you in this and this. The father may have a whole nother story. And the kid's like, I didn't feel it. Because something happened when you walked into the room and you're like, so how's the job search? And all they heard was, what's a 26-year-old bum doing out of work? I have 5 kids, blah, blah, blah.
What I'm hearing from this conversation is that we're screwed. There's no way to get this right.
In a way, I agree. Because, listen, have you met a person who doesn't struggle in this world? So why are we trying to make kids that don't struggle in this world?
Right.
What I'm saying is our kids will become adults, and those adults will struggle.
Right. Because
every adult we ever met in the world has struggled. So our fanatical pursuit of trying to make an impossible human being is really messing things up. Understanding that if you have 5, 6 kids, one of them's going to have an anxiety disorder, one's going to be in depression more than others, one of them's going to be ADHD. We're people. We turn out like people. And I think at some point parents have to know that we have all the power and no power at the exact same time. We have the power to let this kid know that they got a rock behind them that's crazy about them, cheerleader, get your back, all that stuff. But we don't have the power to stop them from suffering from pain and all that stuff. We just don't have that power. And when we recognize that, it's usually too late. because we spent so much time trying to force a round peg into a square hole. We're like trying, or the other way, I don't know which one, a square peg in a round hole. Like, it's like we're trying so hard to fix all of our parents' stuff. Like, at the end of the day, I think it is about the message that we're psycho crazy about them, and whatever they go through, we got them, and that they're amazing, and that they are flawed, and they're fine, and everybody's flawed, and we could do this. And I don't know, these messages have to go over, and then your kids suffer, and everybody freaks out. But I never met someone who's not suffering. Have you? I don't know. Have you met someone who's not suffering? I don't know where they are.
No.
So my wife and my kids say to me, "Oh, you say this because you're only dealing with the suffering people." I'm like, I don't think so.
Are they not suffering?
My wife and my kids,
Yeah.
they're people. They suffer like regular people.
Do they know people that aren't suffering?
They know, yeah, once in a while they look across the street. I'm not saying across the street, but
Right.
across the street in like the figurative sense. Not that the people across the street aren't living great lives. If you're listening, I'm sorry. I just found out that Rachel listens to my pod, so I'll be nice. She's my across the street neighbor. Anyway, so shout out Rachel. But you look at the other side, the grass seems greener.
Right.
Look at them. They got it all together. Their house is so pretty. Everything's made nice. The grass is done nice, and the kids seem to be like little robots doing everything right. And like they look like they're not suffering. I don't know, but every one of those people come to me and they're like, "I'm dying. I'm suffering. We have souls that are like dying to connect to something greater than us. How could you not suffer?" I don't know.
So that's the answer.
I don't think it's an answer more than what?
Our job is to focus inward.
I'm saying is that when you find out the issue, you're going to be like, "That was it?" I was working on something totally different. And then your kids come to you and say, "Oh, you were too lenient." What? I was fighting the too strict. Now it's too lenient. You know what? They're wrong too. They're coming up with reasons why they're picking stuff up unconsciously. Anyway, Mavakshim. I want to tell you something. You got me riled up. I don't get riled up in pods so much. Got me riled. What happened, Mavakshim?
No, go. You're in the middle of
What am I?
introducing Mavakshim.
Oh, so Mavakshim. Oh, we're introducing.
First,
Mavakshim.
I just want to say to end that off.
Yeah.
You give me a lot to think about. Now let's go to Mavakshim.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on that? What are you thinking about?
I think you're right, and I'm just trying to think. So what do? I think we should just try to have as much fun as possible. No. If trying too hard to live for the now, not for the future. Don't try to create something. Don't try to create a perfect child. Don't try to just have fun now. They're gonna get screwed up anyway, right?
I'm trying to say it's not screwed up.
I got you.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Right, I got you.
It's only screwed up if they're the only one.
That's gonna happen anyway.
Yeah.
So stop focusing on it. Stop focusing on how to fix it. How to fix what you never. If that's not a focus anymore, now let's just enjoy life.
Right. There are things that we know that if
Don't tell me now you can do things that will make it better.
No,
it goes away from the whole thing. You're saying.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying. It's not the things. You're saying have fun. I'm saying live the best now.
Good. Same thing.
Different. No, because fun could sometimes mean shirk your responsibilities.
No,
don't
that's
treat
not
the
what I
people
mean.
around you
No,
well.
sorry,
And
you're right. Live the best now that you can.
live the best now, and that will go in.
Yeah.
That's what I find.
Or not. Doesn't matter. That's basically what I'm getting out of this. You're right.
It does matter because if we're not working on ourselves, then real damage happens. Real damage. But I'm saying it's not coming from what you think it's coming from. It's coming from your damages being pushed onto your kids unconsciously. And that's because you're not working on yourself. So that's what I'm saying. Meaning the things we think, like, well, every time it was Pesach, I did the Seder exactly like this, and that is exactly the opposite of the way my father did it, and that's why it's... No. the thing that's messed him up is that every Pesach, you got so stressed out to do it right, your kids were overwhelmed with the stress. And they thought you were choosing God over them. And again, so it's not that something didn't screw them up a little, but it's because we didn't develop ourselves. The same thing I said about marriage. Be 100% the best husband, be 100% the best father. What that means is don't worry about how your kids turn out. Just focus on how could I be the best father. That means kind, that means this, that. I want to be a developed person with a, as a father that my kid knows. Then you got to figure out what father means and all that stuff. But it's not just fun. I'm saying fun is part of it. And by the way, lots of people are like, why do I want to grow up and have a family if my father looks like he's miserable all the time? So fun is part of it. But that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's not just fun. It just means it is all about now and development. And then when your kids come back to you and tell you the things that hurt you, so then be the best father then too.
Right. Hold space.
And try to figure out. Maybe it's something you can fix, something you can apologize for, something. But most of the time, it's not the stuff we think it is. That's what I think.
Right.
And I think most people are very shocked, including myself. Like Friday night, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, that's one of the things I thought I was great at. And I wasn't. How do you explain that one, right?
How'd you deal with it?
Well, I just listened. We talked, and it was a nice conversation. It really wasn't that bad. I just was shocked, and it was nice to also tell her, as now that she's an adult and I'm an adult, and we're talking about it, I was able to tell her my own thoughts and my feelings as it was happening. I think that was helpful for her to see me as a human in that story. Right. She also has she's very frustrated because a lot of times all this Narish guy that the Jewish school system is throwing at us, and so when they were in school, I was much more I didn't want them to be resentful of the system so much. So I wasn't fighting it and they didn't come home. And I'd be like, well, they don't know what they're talking about, the rabbis. And, I didn't really want to come off as that because they had to go 8 hours a day and be in that place. If I had another place to put them, then we could discuss it. But they had to be in that place. But after they finished school, so they're talking about it, and I'm like, 90% of the stuff is made up. And they're like, she's like, I don't like when you say that. I had to go through it. You made me go through that stuff.
Kind of right.
I know.
I see it differently. I rather raise my kids, well, quote unquote, not religious. Not really not religious because I'm religious, but I'd rather send them to a place where if school's going to mess them up, right? Rather let them be messed up outside of religion.
I don't think school messes up money people.
No?
I'm saying that one too. It's
Okay.
the parents.
I hear.
It's mostly the parents. I very rarely meet with someone in their 50s or 60s and they're talking to me about their Rebbe in third grade. It's a blip in their life.
Maybe,
right.
Maybe.
No, unless they severely traumatized you, you're basically talking about your family. And we talk about schools to kind of we don't want to be so angry at our family. But when you really break it down, maybe if you had a Rebbe Movak who was 10 years, he was your Rebbe and being horrible or great to you, he's going to have a massive impact. But I think...
Well, you don't think it impacts if a kid is hanging out in this place for 8 hours a day for the most impressionable years of their life? You don't think it has an impact?
Unless I don't think it's going... Here, because you ever heard my whole spiel with addiction and all that? It's about us believing we're worthy of being loved. I think the real damage you do to people with trauma is that you make holes and you make people believe that they're not worthy of love. They just don't believe it anymore. So in order to have that real impact on people, either it has to be such severe trauma from a stranger or a Rebbe or something like that. I don't mean to, or a consistent, your family has the power to make you feel unworthy, much more powerful than a guy who you knew for 1 year. So the thing what I'm saying is that the problem is when their mind shifts to a new belief In order for someone to shift your mind to a new belief, it's very rare that it's going to be someone a year in your life. It's very rare because they'll have 15 other people.
You're talking about extreme. You're talking about extreme cases.
Yeah.
Of extreme.
No, but I'm saying that is the problem with trauma. Is that it makes us feel worse about ourselves.
For a second.
Okay.
Don't you think it's messed up that a kid has to spend 10 years of his most impressionable years of his life, most amazing years of a kid's life is, from 5 to 15, in a place where they don't like it, or it's not amazing, it's not conducive for for a great childhood?
I mean, I think it's terrible. I'm with you.
I don't know if it's traumatizing them or it's making them into addicts, or I don't know what it's doing, but just that fact, like a kid has to, especially in a place where you don't believe in either, but why do we send them there? Because we have no choice.
Because we have no choice.
Right? I'm not blaming anyone, but it's kind of sick.
I agree. I think it is sick. I don't know if it screws people up because everybody else is doing it. Right. So we all we get used to that.
But just think about.
I don't think school should. As a kid, the idea of kids going more to 4 hours a day of study makes no sense to me at all. I mean, most of what kids learn is from play.
They don't learn it in school. I think they learn maybe a half hour worth of study.
No, I'm saying, what if school, my mother-in-law who grew up in Israel, she said at, 12:30 they went home. That was it. It was like they would go home for, lunch and that was it. And then when they get to high school, it was like an hour longer. Yeah. Like it was not, and I'm like, these are not uneducated people. Like you don't,
the problem
it's definitely gone too
far.
There's
a different issues. Like in the Western world, the adults have to be busy all day doing things they don't necessarily want to do, but they have to do it. And now what are they going to do with their kids? So you need a babysitting service, right? So people don't really have a choice to do anything different. What are you going to do? You got to send your kids to school. I can't have them home.
Right.
So we're kind of stuck in a messed up situation. But if we're talking about it, it's not a good situation. School is not a good. It's not like, this is how life should be. I don't know, in my mind.
I don't know. I think people would argue, but I'm not one of those people. I would like to take the devil's advocate and argue with you, but it's not. I think it's funny because when I meet people that were like, I love school. I can't even relate. You meet them, but like I loved it. I was good at it. I would study. I would, I had my friends there, and I was like going to school in the morning was great. I'm absolutely fascinated by those people. Like I'm like,
I think there are some people like that.
Yeah, there are.
I'm watching my daughter going like, to me, I'm like, I'm lucky that I don't speak English fluently, Hebrew fluently, because every few weeks I would want to go in there and scream at everyone. But what am I going to say? So I didn't go. But in the end, I see she's loving it. So I accept she likes school, right?
Right.
It's not a bad school, but it's still a system. She loves it. She has her friends there. She's pretty good at it. But you have to be open that each kid might need something else.
Yeah. Well, I love that Israel has a forest school.
Yeah, different.
But I have in America. I actually had this struggle because when I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but when I got my kids into school, there were two schools that I got in Brooklyn that I got my girls into. One was like kind of below my religious standards, and one was pretty high above my religious standards. And I went to my rabbi at the time, and he passed away, but I went to him, and he said you should go up in Kedusha, not down. And I don't know if it was a bad decision or not, but it was very weird for me to be sending kids to school when I really didn't buy like a lot of the stuff they were doing. It was very weird to me. And I don't think it would be as weird if it was 4 hours a day. It was 3 hours a day. Right. It was like their whole day they're learning this. it's almost like, and I had this principal, Richard Alterby, on. He was my principal, and I asked him, like, now I forgot my point of what my question was. Hold on a second. I asked him,
It's okay, we can cut this part out.
what? I don't cut anything yet. I'm trying to remember what I asked him. I went to school. Okay, whatever. Forget it. It doesn't matter. If it's not important, I wouldn't have forgot it, maybe. Who knows? But yeah.
Mavakshim. See how good Mavakshim is?
You know what? I think it's because I didn't have my coffee. It's a fast day.
With you. We can break it. It's Pesach Sos.
Break the fast?
Yeah.
I never break a fast.
Okay.
I have a trick of how fast or easy for me. I was in a weight loss contest.
Do a podcast. No, go ahead.
No, I had a weight loss contest, and the last part I wanted to really make sure I won. So I fasted for 48 hours. No food, no water, just fasted. But I never went 48 hours before. And I totally won. I didn't need to. Like, I killed everybody already. Like, I won by so much. So I didn't have to. But contest. Yeah, but no, I was saying it was 3-month contest. Yeah, but I was like, every time I'm fasting, I'm like, this is a maximum 25 hours. I did 48 hours. So in my head, I'm like,
fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Sometimes I forget things.
No, I've come to learn that fasting is good for me. I don't like it, but it's good. If I can last, it's good. It's good reset, good for the brain.
Right.
But we can do a reset now, just like
before the Mavakshim, we'll reset. Yeah. What do you think is happening in the community that like an Or Shlomo has to happen? Like it's such a mix.
I'll tell you,
of people.
Yeah, this is the way I see it.
Yeah.
This is the way I see Judaism. This is the way I see history. This is the way I see. It might be a little immature, but this is the way I see it. I see this world as kind of like a king in a castle. And he has a bunch of rules and a lot of ministers, and everyone's doing their job. And they're very, very strict. You know, it's a castle. You got to keep it, you got to keep everything to the T. There's no slacking off in the castle. Anyway, the king has a bunch of kids. The ministers could also be his kids, however you want to form this example. But he has a bunch of kids that just like are fed. He has a bunch of kids, leaves the castle, and now the kids are just hanging around. They're like, what the hell's going on here? We're fed up. We're done. And they leave. And then 2,000 years later, the king comes back and says, where are my kids? His older kids are there. They're keeping everything organized. But the younger kids, like, where are they? They're like, well, they couldn't handle the strict rules. They left. So he sends somebody out to get them. And they come back, and they're like, we're not coming in. So he says, why not? He says, we're not interested in these rules. So he says, but I'm here. He said, yeah, we're interested in you, maybe. We don't know yet about you. We haven't seen you in a while. There's a part of us that wants the relationship, but we're not interested in these rules. I'm having a great time out miles away from the castle, playing in the mud. We're doing great. We don't need this. So he says, just come. Who cares about the rules? Leave the rules aside. Let's build that relationship. And so basically, this is the way I see Judaism today. Religious Judaism has become a bunch of ministers doing the rules. They're good. They're the kids. But there's no relationship, really. Or a relationship isn't the main point. Maybe some people have a relationship on the side, and maybe some people, through doing all the rules and everything, they do have a relationship. It's possible. But what's happening is that the kids want relationship. They don't want rules. And it's happening all over the place. Now, Or Shlomo is a place where there's a little bit of both. but you can definitely express the relationship more. Is my view. This is what I get out of Rosh Shlomo. It's basically, I can come home and I don't have to do the rules, or at least not, perfect.
Right.
That's my pull to Rosh Shlomo. It's like, and that's my.
Well, that's a very kind response from the king. I mean, the king could say, well, if you're not doing my rules, take a hike.
Right. So
you're saying our Shlomo is that beautiful, like, come in and have a relationship with me, and we'll work on the rules a little bit later.
I think Or Shlomo is just, it's like at the edge of the religious community. You have Mansi and then you have Or Shlomo. But Or Shlomo is pretty religious compared to what I'm seeing in Israel. In Israel, I'm seeing people that aren't religious that are so connected to God. And they don't see they don't see it as a rebellious thing. Or Shlomo, in my mind, is still half rebellious. It's like, compared to any other shul, it's like, what's going on there, right? It's a little rebellious. But in Israel, what I'm seeing is tons of people that are connected to God without the rules. They have their rules that they do. I'm not saying that, but this anal, strict religion, they don't even relate to that. So
why do you think that's happening in Israel? Like, well,
because
why is it
Israel
different?
has more space for it. Over here, a rabbi once asked me, a big rabbi in Jerusalem, asked me, why do you want to make Aliyah? Stay in America. He's like more of a Satmar kind of guy. So I said, look, in America, if my kids go off the derech, they're kind of lost. In Israel, if they go off the derech, there's like 70 other derechs for them to go on. There's like so many different ways to be Jewish in Israel. He didn't like it. He knew it was true. But it doesn't, in that, in the community where you have to keep everyone tight-knit,
right.
Doesn't fit. But in Israel, you can be Jewish and not be religious. I'm not saying that they're not religious. They do their things. Everyone's got their thing. That my friend told me that his daughters told him, keep God and Emunah separate from religion. We have God and Emunah. Don't bring me religion. What's that telling you? That's people that figured out that it's not all about the rules. Now, are the rules important? Yes. Otherwise, there would be no castle and there'd be no order, right?
Right.
But now, you want to say God came back after 2,000 years of Galus, right? And I think God's...
No, but there's a phenomenon going on in Israel that kind of backs up what you're saying, but we don't feel it in America at all.
Oh.
Meaning the idea of having a real deep connection with God without being a highly observant Jew or highly observant any religion is not a thing in America. Like, it's not, you don't see. You see, like, you have whole communities that are like, I take my Judaism seriously. I'm proud of being a Jew. But you don't see a deep, meaningful connection to a God as soon as the religious piece turns off. I'm really fascinated by what you're saying in Israel, where it's like you could have people, and we call them chilonim, and you're like, I wish my kids loved God like that guy. Like, what are you talking about? Where are you seeing this chilonim thing? Like, when you have people that are literally dying in the name of God to protect their fellow Jews, and you're like calling them non-religious. Like, the idea of it is, but it's a phenomenon just for Israel. It's really wild.
To make sense of it, there are rabbis that say, I don't know if it's the Rambam or Rashi, I don't know which one, the Ramban, I'm not sure, that the Torah was only, the Torah in America or in outside of Israel is only there for chinuch, which means you're going to be there for 2,000 years. You don't want to lose it, so do it. But it doesn't really matter. It's not really, right? Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, my wife's going to kill you for that one.
Fine.
If she makes that, she gets very upset. That's like because
I want to tell you something. Go ahead.
No, because all of our friends that make Aliyah, they're like, and they keep doing stuff again. Dude, I'm working real hard now. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm not saying it. I want to tell you something more. It's not like now I went to Israel, now I'm doing the Torah there.
Right.
It's not, you know. But there's something. It's not about that.
No, I just laugh.
I'm saying in America you need the Torah for the relationship. Maybe, really not. I think you can have the relationship anywhere, but the Torah really. Let's bring it the other way. In Israel, there's something there that's way above the religion. In America, the Torah is a religious thing, right? You either have the religion or you don't have the religion. Maybe with the religion comes relationship, maybe not. I don't know. But in Israel, there's relationship, there's depth, there's something more than the religion. The religion is a byproduct. It's like, I want to be connected to God, so I'm going to go and do something religious so I can, right? But the connection to God is number one. It's there, it's alive. It's very hard to put your finger on it, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's
well, your
crazy.
truth is, you see this on Lahavdil. You see this in the Christian community a lot. I mean, there are a lot of like, and I'm saying this for a reason because I feel like we never had permission to do this, but there are a lot of Christians, and I follow a lot online or whatever, and they just love God, talk about Jesus, they talk about the connection, they talk about, like, they have this deep connection, and they do absolutely nothing. But having that connection is very special. Me growing up as an Orthodox Jew, like it was, truth is, in my house, we talked about connection a lot more, but still the message was the connection is the rules. It wasn't really like this idea. I could have a connection and then I could work on the rules. That's sort of what I was saying with like the davening is like, I thought I can't have a connection.
Exactly.
Because it was based on whether I was going to be davening these words. And then I was like, wait, I could just connect. I could just go connect, see what happens.
It's very sad that what has happened is that the rules have become a wedge in the relationship between us and God. Maybe it was necessary for 2,000 years, maybe. Could be now we're in a different, it could be what's happening in Israel and what's happened to me and what's happening to other youngsters is a phenomenon of the Gula. Could be, right? But at this point, the religion is, for religious people, gets in the way of their relationship with God. Why? Because if you're able to do it, then you're there. But if not, now I can't have a relationship with God. I need to remove myself from the castle if I'm not doing the rules.
Right.
Whereas my message, again, now it's tying back to Nanach, but tying back to Rabbi Nachman, I think the message is God's trying to tell us, relationship first. Don't worry about everything else. Everything else will come. I really believe that. And I find, I speak to a lot of people, and they're like, they can't hear that. They can't imagine what it would be like without the rules. They can't believe that God loves them if there's no rules.
Well, it sounds Christian.
Kumbaya, let's go.
Maybe it's seeped in.
It's Christian without Jesus.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, the difference between Christianity and Judaism is that God takes care of our sins instead of Jesus. It says, the guy says Tehillim every day in Shul for the brothers and sisters in Israel. Hu yiftes Yisrael Mekol Avanosav. It's the same thing they believe about Jesus.
Right.
We believe it about God.
Right.
Judaism is Christianity, but better.
I'm gonna clip that out, bro. That's
no, but if there's anything good there, it's all from us. It's just that we lost it,
Yeah, it's funny because the things. I mean, out of all the religions, I haven't looked into Christianity as much as the other ones, believe it or not, because I grew up with you're not allowed to read the New Testament, so it's like stuck in my bones. But I read every other religion in depth. For some reason, I'm still stuck. But from what I could tell, everything he was saying, Rabbi Kiva was saying it, and Hillel Zaken was saying it, and all these ideas about loving each other and stop being corrupt and just love each other and stop with all these rules and craziness and so it's interesting. I see why there's an attraction because they are literally getting the God of the Jews for free. It's like what you're saying is like have a relationship with him, and then he says all these rules you could add to the relationship.
Yeah.
It's a very nice way of looking at it. The Israel thing is like
so important.
I've been wanting. When I got married, I was like, I'm moving to Israel. That was the plan. Matter of fact, I had 2 things that I said that I would never break. Like I would literally be like, I can't marry someone if they don't like
Israel.
Well, it's not true because I would marry Yale no matter what. But
Because
I really was like, I won't need to go to Israel. That was one, and the other one was I will never work at night, which was like I can't. And then I worked at night, and we still live in America. So like those are my 2 rules that I keep either of them. But the truth is, when I think about going to Israel, it seems like this may be a very well. Right now, I'm like, besides for it costing a fortune, it seems terrifying right now. I can't believe people are going right now. I mean, they've been in war for 2 years, and like,
it's not terrifying.
Why
When
is
you're there,
it-
when you're there.
yeah,
I'm
why is
telling
it
you what
not
seems.
terrifying?
I don't know. It's a different. It adds so much meaning to life. It's a sad time. It's a painful time.
Yeah,
It's a miraculous time. There's crazy things happening there. But it's a time I'm gonna miss this. Kinda. It's hard for me to say because I'm not in the army. My kids aren't in the army. There's a lot of pain there. A lot of pain.
yeah,
But the energy, it's doing something to the nation. You know, I'm very lucky. Before I made Aliyah, I had this feeling like I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss the redemption. So I'm going. That was one of the big things. And I went, and 30 days later, October 7 happened.
right.
And it's weird. And you say, this is the redemption. There is a very big redemptive big part of the redemption that's been happening over the last 2 years. Part of it is the pain. Part of it is the miracles. But we're together as a nation, and you feel it. And it's like, if I'm Jewish, I want that. Otherwise, I can be in Costa Rica. I love Costa Rica. I love Central. I can be anywhere and just chill. But if I'm Jewish, I want the full Jewish experience.
Right.
You know? And that's what you get. And it's a trade-off. Is it terrifying? It happens to be. I'm not terrified. I'm an adrenaline junkie. So
Right.
when I see this stuff flying overhead, it's exciting. But
Yeah. I have seen it really. My sister, who's probably the most powerful person I know, she's about to have her 4th son. Well, 1 son-in-law and 3 sons in the army, and they're all deep in Gaza. It's like intense. I've never seen her be this like drained. Like, this is too much. Like, stop, you know. And so if they, like, to me, I think she's one of the strongest people I've ever met.
Right.
And like, for her, it's like, it's so.
I think that, you know, from that sense, the war should end. Her kids should come out. She should have reprieve from it. But there's something that it's doing to the nation. You know, it's.
Does it still feel unified since the beginning? Yeah.
I feel it. You know, even more. It feels even more. What Iran really brought all not the last, but a lot of the.
Like, everybody agreed on Iran.
Exactly.
It's like, we
And
don't
that was
agree on
really
everything.
cool. That was really cool to see that everyone was like, okay, this we agree on. And, you know, it woke up a part of us that's been sleeping for 2,000 years, you know, as a nation. Over there, you feel it. I feel it. I can't say you. I don't know. I feel it there.
Right. I'm not there.
Right. And I'm saying, I don't know about it. You know, I have this voice in my head that says, well, maybe other people don't agree with you. Maybe. Could be.
Oh, it's funny because you also have people there that are living the life that we talked about here, like the rule life.
True.
It's still happening. Those
No, but
people.
I was speaking to a friend of mine and said, until you're not ready to let go of your religion, you're not really going to be living the land. You know, it says, Eretz Ocheles Yoshveh, right? I have a friend there. We always talk about it. It's like, we come here, we became not religious. Why? All these things we thought were important. God's showing us they're not. And don't get me wrong, we're still very religious. But all the things, that we thought, without this, oh my gosh, God's showing us it's not what it's about.
And that's definitely connected to the land.
That's what I feel. We're not feeling it here.
Yeah.
It's doing something. Something's happening there, and for 80 years, people have been coming back. Now you see the kids and grandkids of people that threw away Judaism and came to Israel. What does that mean? If you're not Jewish, why come to Israel? Israel meant something much more than the religion for people for a long time. Now people are becoming less anti-religion. But that part of living for something and something beyond just religion has been there for 80 years, and I'm reaping the rewards,
Make it sound good. Yeah. I don't know if I see this in my future, but it's
never know. Look, you got Or Shlomo. Or Shlomo's nice.
Yeah. But I will tell you.
I miss Or Shlomo there. I'll tell you that much.
You do.
Yeah. That part I don't have.
It's really special. I find most of the things I talk about is about finding community, and Or Shlomo it's community for people who would have a hard time finding community. It's not typical. It's similar to our village, where these are people that wouldn't necessarily fit into a community. They've been kind of isolated on some level. It's maybe more extreme by our village, but it's similar idea. It's like you said, it's the outskirts. What I always say about our place in Brooklyn, is that our place had one message. There was no way out of the Jewish community. We're the net. When you thought it was
it's over.
It's over. It's we're not. We love you. But I'm a drug dealer. We love you. Drugs and blah, 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 and all the other virus. And okay, nobody's asking. The community does not let go of you. That's kind of what the Or Shlomo does.
Yeah.
I like what the community is doing in general. I'm not so anti the Jewish community, but every community is going to have fallouts of people saying, that's not what I need. Anyway, we're not going to talk about Mavakshim because I'm too hungry, but I do want to ask you unless you want to talk about Mavakshim. What do you mean it saved your life? Are you joking when you say it saved your life, Mavakshim?
No, I'm serious. In that time, I'm sure without Mavakshim, I would be fine. God has plans.
I don't think so.
But God used Mavakshim at that. I don't know. You remember I came in, I was on the floor.
Yeah.
It was very hard. I was going through a very difficult time.
You say you come into someone, you're on the floor. You literally on the floor.
I was on the floor.
You didn't want to sit on a chair.
I couldn't. It's so interesting. Now I don't have that feeling anymore. But back then, the ground was the most comfortable place.
Yeah. Well, I always used to say that especially when I was younger, I would always lie on the floor because you can't fall off the floor. There's no way to fall. Right. You're on the bottom. It's the safest place to be. That's a safe place, the floor.
That's what it felt like.
No, Mavakshim's awesome. But, okay, and I loved all the millions of conversations, and we missed it when you learned Teretz Yisrael and all that. But, rooftop question. I don't know if you ever made it to the end of one of my pods, but I ask everybody a question, which is, if you're on top of a rooftop and you're yelling to the world and everybody is down on the bottom, what do you want to yell?
Let people smoke on the doorstep. No, I'm kidding.
Just smoke at the door of Shul. What's the big deal? No. You could make that. I felt the same way. Okay.
What's my rooftop? I don't know. Who's the audience?
Everybody.
The whole world?
It's your rooftop. A lot of people. I mean, in a sense, this is a rooftop because there are thousands of people listening to this pod.
I mean, the most encompassing one is that God loves you, and don't let religion get in the way of that.
That's actually really good. That's a good message. Yeah. Don't get there must be a great line about it. Don't let religion get in the way of God.
This is what I say. This is what I figured out. religion is meant to be there to help you worship God. Okay, some people use religion to help you worship God. Other people use God to help you worship religion. Right? So the first one is like I have a relationship with God, and religion helps me in my relationship. It gives me tools how to get closer and how to feel God more. Versus I worship the religion and I use God to scare me into worshiping it more. Right? Hey, God's looking. Get back to the book. That's what I find.
That's a great way to put it. That's like a bumper sticker. Wait, say that one more time. Sorry,
There are two kinds of people.
Yeah.
Some people use the religion to worship God. Others use God to worship the religion. Is that good?
I love it. It's too long for a bumper sticker. I take it back.
God loves you, no religion.
God is your co-pilot, bro.
I was thinking today, say you're a co-creator.
What's the co-creator thing? Can you explain this? The co-creator thing.
The way I understand.
Seems like I've bizarre to me.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. It's like co-creators. Like God's making a world. You should make the world with Him. Don't just sit back and be like, oh, God's running the show, so I don't have to do anything. No, God wants you to also do.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but what I thought today is like I was pretty upset today, and I said,
that's what I want to hear. We should have started with this. I want to hear what you're upset about.
I've got a lot. I've got another half hour, but
you know what? We already hit 2 hours. You can keep going.
Keep going.
You're already on the one of the longest podcasts.
Okay, let's go. First of all, I just want to say that God wants us to be involved. What does that mean? That if I'm mad, I can say I'm mad. I can curse out God if I have to curse out God. If I just have to sit here and take everything, that's not a relationship.
So what were you angry about? Okay. That's what you're angry about?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was what I was going. No, I'll go back a little bit. There was a rabbi that said that he basically had a long speech, and he's basically saying that he had a response to every emotional issue. So a guy said, "Oh, I'm older and single." Oh, Sarah Schneer was, divorced twice, and look what she accomplished because she was single. Right. It's great. It's the Shar B'tachon way of looking at, your situation, whatever you're in, just deal with it.
It's a little bit of an at least thing. You're like, oh, I broke my leg. Well, at least you have a leg. At least there are other people who have worse legs.
No, what they're saying, like, you can accomplish much more.
Right.
This way, and all the other people that do have legs wish they didn't have legs in this sense, right? That's how they say it, right? Let's say a single guy, look at a married guy, he wishes he had the free time that you have, right? So that's what he was saying. It was fine. He's basically saying like emotions don't matter in Judaism in a way. And I'm like, oh, cool, interesting. The next day, I'm like walking into my house and my kid triggers me, and I get so mad at him, and like, I'm about to beat him, and I'm like, no. And I run into the room, and he runs after me, and I'm just staring out the window, and I can't look at him. And what he's going through is like, Daddy, 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 Daddy. Oh, you're ignoring me? You can't hear me? You don't have ears? At some point, it's like, in Hebrew, they say, oof, oof. It's like, oh, shoots. And he like kind of gives up and walks out, right? And that's what he was going through.
Right.
What I'm going through is I'm looking out the window, and I have these two sides. Like one side, like, you're an idiot. You're ruining your kid. Go be with your kid. What are you doing? The other side's like, he's triggered. I don't even know what. Can't go to shame. There's so much going on in my head. I have no clue what's going on. And it's a very painful place to be in. And then I'm thinking to myself, Rabbi so-and-so, what are you going to pull out of your hat this time? What's this emotional issue? What's the positive side to this? Anyway, I came up with something after 2 weeks. I came up with something you can say in the Torah. But
first of all, you were never going to beat your kid. I'm just making that clear. Because you're like, I want to beat him.
No, but I'm telling you, it's very difficult. So why was I mad today? Yeah. Because I came home. I did great with my kid on Friday. I took him out. Really, I took him to the lake and to the cold bath and to the mikvah. We had a great time, right? He loved it. Took him to Shul. I loved it, right? One-on-one. Shabbos morning, I get up. I want to go to our Shlomo, and he's like, I want to come. And I'm thinking in my head, oh, I should take him, right? He's 5. Take him for an hour walk. But I'm like, oh, I'm sure he could do it. Back and forth. So I basically ended up wasting an hour just going back and forth. And then I said, no, I'm not going to take you. And he's throwing a tantrum and I'm out. This morning I come home. Oh, so last night I told him, I said, stay in bed until I wake you up and I'm going to take you to Shul. Because otherwise he wakes up because I get up for Vasikin at 4. So he wakes up at 4, hoping to get me before I leave. So I said, don't. And he slept in. And it's like 7:30 and I'm like, okay, let me go to the mikveh. I'll come back and get him for 9:30 davening. I come back and he's in a great mood. The second he sees me, he just throws a nasty tantrum. And I don't know how to deal with that. I really don't know how to deal with that. And I'm very mad. I have a lot of anger when it comes to that because I know what I'm doing wrong. I know how I'm screwing him up in my response, but I don't know how to deal with it. And it's very painful.
So why is that connected to that rabbi?
Oh, no, because this place, like, where's the hat trick? What are you going to pull out of your hat now to tell me that you're saying that there's no emotions in Judaism? How am I supposed to deal with this place? He had an answer for every situation that someone brought up. I'm older and single. I have this problem, that problem. And he had a good way of saying it. What are you going to say about this?
Well, what you're saying the fact that he had an answer invalidated any type of emotions as a legitimate response.
Correct. And I do have, after 2 weeks, this time I went to the ice bath, trying to shake it out of me, and then I came here.
Right.
So, but that's when I came up with the thought of we're co-creators. I'm allowed to be mad at God.
Right.
I'm, hey, no, I don't accept this. I'm sorry, God. Please help me out. But this is an interesting one that I came up with then. This might, Avram Avinu, right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
He grew up in a house of idols. And then he came out and he said, idols are bad, right? He grew up in a place where people were sacrificing their kids for God. And he came up with the concept, no.
Can't do that.
Not a good idea, right? Okay, why am I saying that? Because for me, I know what a good parent should look like, at least in my head, right? I have that awareness. And then when you're in that place, of that painful place, when you're triggered and you can't do what you know is right. Anyway, so Avram Avinu now gets this message that he should go slaughter his kid.
Yeah, crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
I think he was triggered. I think he was in that place of there's one part of him telling him that you need to go do it. That's basically the same voice as he grew up with. Right? This is the way you deal with this situation.
Right.
But he's been preaching his whole life that not to do it. That it's bad. But he can't help himself. He's triggered.
All of a sudden, everything comes flooding back.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do. And he goes and takes his kid up and ties him down. And he's lucky that he got this, God gave him a way to back down the ladder, come off the...
Well, I like that. I like that teaching a lot.
Right?
I like it a lot because I actually never saw it that way. No, I see the challenge. Like he fully locked and loaded, but there's we don't kill our kids, and then all of a sudden God says do it. I mean, I don't know. This is some allegorical understanding of emotions where it just comes flooding back. There's so many times in our lives when that exact thing happens. Like when we oh my God, did I become my mother? Did I become my father? Did I, like that? You're like, I know I've been fighting this. I literally will get on and
Preaching
lecture.
Yeah.
My favorite story is when my daughter was like, Abba, if you're a therapist, why are you so angry at me? I was like,
you're right.
Go to your room. No, but I would say that it was like a perfect martial. Like I'm fighting my whole life, and my response, I fight. Let's say for community, that's my biggest thing. My response to anything is to run away from the community. Like just every single thing. And I'm trying so hard, just put myself back in. And I mean, that's my response. Like my response always goes back to my childhood. So you're saying that no matter how much we drive the idols out of us, they come back when our emotions are heightened, like something major is happening.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that. God is showing us with the story with Avram that this is how he set up the world. There's nothing you can do to fight it. It's similar to what you were saying about raising kids. Like, even though you know the perfect way to do it, that's not what this world's about. Yes, we should strive for perfection, whilst knowing you'll never get there, and accept yourself. The sooner you can accept yourself after getting triggered, the faster you can come off the trigger. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Radical acceptance.
Right. So by me, that's what usually happens. I start beating myself up, ton of shame, and that keeps me there for as long as possible. If I can back off, if I can just accept myself, right? So that was the Malach coming to Avram saying, you're okay. You want to slaughter something? Here's a sheep, go. It's okay. You're not a bad person. Because the second you see that, like, did I seriously just do everything that I've been, going against? And I really believe it's bad.
You thought of this? This is. I'm saying like you didn't.
crazy.
No one said this.
No one said
Sounds blasphemous, like crazy.
I agree. I love it.
No, I love it. But I'm saying, what a deep psychological idea.
I see the Torah and all the stories in the Torah as a message to us, telling us that it's okay to be human.
Well, it definitely seems to imply that.
Right.
The only people that sound
Otherwise, it's not
perfect in the
fair.
Torah
Yeah.
are the evil ones. I always do like the Yaakov and Esav thing. The bad guy in that story is Yaakov. If you read that story, he's stealing things, tricking things, running away. And the good guy, Esav, is just a sweet guy, brings food to his father. His father's like, I already gave away your stuff. And he cries. And then he sees his brother, he gives him a hug. And like, of course, us, we're like, yeah, little dots, he bit him, It's like, we make him evil, but the Torah doesn't say it. All the good people are telling us that it's all right to be human, but this is such a great, deep idea. Wow. I'm saying, you think if like Avram Avinu gets triggered, then we're allowed to, right?
Yeah. Not only that, this is God's telling us how life works. I was speaking to, you remember Shia Friedman? I don't know if you know. He used to daven Masikin with us in Shlomo.
The guy Shia Freeman just moved into town.
Different guy.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I was speaking to him about this, and together we veered to this direction.
Really?
Yeah, it was a crazy epiphany.
It's really wild. No, it's also like it's so crazy because we don't parent with other parents. So you'd say that situation, and then so many people are going to feel like, oh my God, I feel this. And we don't talk about it. I remember probably when my parenting got the best was after listening to Louis C.K. talk about his parenting. I don't know if you're familiar.
Look it up now.
No, Louis C.K. is so irreverent about his parenting. He talks about like how like stupid these kids are, and how like, he's just like, I just want to throw them across the room. Like the way he talks about it is so irreverent. It's like, but you feel that when you get triggered. And the great part of the comedy is that he doesn't do that.
He's allowed to say it.
But he was able to share. I'm like, oh, like the shame just went away. You just saying this, like, I'm getting in the shame. And like everybody, if you're really real with yourself, understands that that's what we go through. The amount of times when I knew I could never punish my kids when I'm angry, I had to like step into another room and just like allow no one was telling me I'm allowed to do that until like, weirdly Louis C.K. starts talking trash about his kids. I couldn't stop myself. Like, this is the greatest thing. I immediately showed my wife, you got to hear this stuff. This stuff is amazing. He wants to murder his kids, and he's not. It's fantastic. Anyway, I really like that psychological thing. Listen, I don't think that even that person is trying to represent that Judaism doesn't allow emotions. I think it's just a trap of us being too scared to sit in it, so we have to come up with it. Don't worry, it can be fixed.
Right.
The problem is, and this is, by the way, I haven't gone too psychological in this podcast, but when I'm dealing with people, like most of the time, their suffering is because they will not accept the feelings they're having. So they're just saying, okay, how does it get fixed? How does it get fixed? How does it get fixed? Instead of saying, what's there to be afraid of? This is the emotion I'm feeling. It's fine. It's what I need to feel, and I need to go through it, even if it's ugly and gross and disgusting, and I have to see what it's trying to tell me. And even if I never find out what it's trying to tell me, it's fine. And emotions, and like that, the line that emotions are real has been taken out of context. When emotions are real, yeah, you're really feeling that, but they don't get to make your decisions in life.
True.
Ultimately, we go back to our decisions, but sometimes they just take over. Sometimes you go and you're about to slaughter your kid.
Right. The sooner you can see them for what they are, the sooner you can gain back control.
Yeah, you're always in control. It's just a question of if you decide to allow other things to pop in and take over.
But a lot of times you feel like, oh my gosh, am I this new person? No, you're not. You're the same you that's having this crazy experience.
Yeah.
And it's okay. It's okay. Good people have these experiences.
All right, we went long enough. I love you, man. Thank you. That's how we're stopping.
Thank you for this day that I've been given. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this chance to live.